And when Jesus had come out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, not even with chains. We can hear this story and be very grateful that our lives do not include possession by evil spirits in the same way that could happen at the time of the Lord's life. Now, we may have had experience with people who have some kind of mental illness that gives them similar characteristics to this demon-possessed man, and they can be frightening to be around. But the Lord promises us that we have a level of freedom. He came into the world both the first and in his second coming to ensure that freedom. The Lord has not given us this story as a record of a long ago past event. The teachings for the new church state quite clearly and often the following idea. All miracles which the Lord himself wrought when he was in the world signified the coming state of the church. Thus, that the eyes of the blind were opened, the ears of the deaf, the tongues of the dumb were loosened, that the lame walked, and the maimed and lepers were healed, signifies that such people as are represented by the blind, deaf, dumb, lame, maimed, and leprous would receive the gospel and be spiritually healed. And this through the coming of the Lord into the world. Divine miracles have within them the end of building up the things of the church. And in another place, as diseases represented the hurtful and evil things of spiritual life, therefore by the diseases that the Lord healed is signified liberation from various kinds of evil and falsity that infested the church and the human race, which would have led to spiritual death. So we can know that this miracle represents an event that can take place in the life of each person who's becoming part of the church. But again, imagine a person reading this miracle and thinking, what's its application to my life? The person could reflect, the man possessed by the demons wasn't free like I am. But many of us can recall that the Lord has told us that freedom is a term relative to what we care about, as in the following passage from Divine Providence. Hellish freedom is one thing, heavenly freedom is another. It's an exercise of hellish freedom to think and will evil. And so far as civil and moral laws do not hinder, to speak and do it. It's an exercise of heavenly freedom, on the other hand, to think and will good. And so far as an opportunity is given, to speak and do it. Whatever we will, think, speak, and do in freedom, we perceive as attributable to ourselves. For to everyone, all freedom accords with our loves. Consequently, people caught up in a love of evil perceive no otherwise than hellish freedom is real freedom. Whereas people impelled by a love of good perceive that heavenly freedom is real freedom. So each regards the opposite as enslavement. Moreover, no one can deny that to be led by good is freedom, while to be led by evil is enslavement. For to be led by good is to be led by the Lord, whereas to be led by evil is to be led by the devil. Again, going back to the person who we're imagining reflecting on this miracle, that person might still be thinking, yes, I know I'm not completely free, but this demon-possessed man was out of control. They couldn't keep him out of trouble by chaining him up. In reality, all people who have some genuine conscience and are battling a significant problem experience the apparent futility of chains and shackles. The chains and shackles can be rules, restrictions, or promises that we give ourselves to curb our strong inclination towards something that part of us likes, but our conscience recognizes is a spiritual danger. This is very common in the life of an alcoholic. He will say to himself, I'll be fine if I just drink beer, or if I don't start drinking in the morning, or as long as I haven't lost my job, I'm not really in trouble. But these promises and rules don't stop him from hurting himself and others. We can also try to control other reactions with rules or promises to ourselves. A woman who has recognized that she makes a mess out of many social situations by being so sensitive to how others see her that she makes a big deal out of minor comments by others or tiny mistakes she makes herself. She's seen how a warm and happy gathering can have a pall cast over it when she gets upset at something she thought was a criticism, but later recognized was not intended the way she took it. She can tell herself, I just have to be less sensitive in the future. But over and over again, she finds herself reacting in the same way again. Similar things could be said about anger, gossip, tendencies to dominate others or to be dominated by them, impatience, spending habits that lead to financial problems, and a host of other problems that keep us from being as useful and happy as we would like to be. Now, I said that somebody with conscience has this experience of going, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But the sad reality is not everyone has the experience of setting rules or making promises for themselves. A person with little or no conscience on a matter may freely indulge in destructive behavior so long as he or she thinks there will be no consequence. And when there's a consequence, the person can think, in the future, I'll just have to be more careful and not get caught. Such a person would not even think of praying to the Lord for help with the problem and would make no effort to recognize the evil motivations and false ideas that led to the behavior. When the Lord spoke to the presence within the man that had been referred to as an unclean spirit, it turned out that it was in reality a legion or large group of evil spirits. Part of the reason why we cannot gain real control by our own efforts is that evil spirits aren't just a single entity. Self-imposed rules that we give ourselves against habits of our present life are supported by a complex set of motivations and beliefs. Any evil that has a significant effect on us has its source in a community of evil spirits who in turn are connected to many other communities that work together to influence us towards that evil. The evils that have a regular part of our lives have an enticement to them that feels good and comfortable to us. Part of the support that these evils get is a wide range of false ideas that justify or excuse them. In some ways, they feel like a benefit or a source of happiness and fulfillment to us. For example, part of us can feel fulfilled by getting really angry at somebody who has hurt, disappointed, or frustrated us. The consequence after the initial blow-up may be terribly unpleasant, but in the moment, the angry words that come out of our mouths can feel so right. Evils present themselves as good and useful, but their intention is represented by what happened when the legion of demons was cast out and went into that herd of 2,000 swine. It caused their self-destruction, created chaos, and all the swine drowned in the Sea of Galilee. The hells want us hurt. They want bad things to happen. They want to destroy anything good and useful. They hate wise parental love. They hate friendships. They hate marriage. They hate a congregation that's trying to fulfill the role of the church on earth. They want them destroyed. And they will seek that destruction by any means they can use. Anything that can get in the way of good and useful relationships can and will be used by them. The new church is blessed with a broad and powerful set of explanations of this reality and how evil spirits seek to influence our daily thoughts and actions. But many of us have heard these things many times over, that understanding the truth is not enough. Understanding is not enough. We will not be healed by the Lord through learning alone. The Lord speaks of this in the following passage, also from the book Divine Providence. It would have been possible for the Lord to heal the understanding in each of us, and so cause us to think not evil but good, and this by means of fears of various kinds, by miracles, by conversations with the dead, by visions and dreams. But to heal the understanding alone is to heal us outwardly only. For the understanding with its thought is the external of our life, while the will with its affection is the internal of our life. Therefore, the healing of the understanding alone would be like a palliative healing, by which the interior malignity, shut in and prevented from coming out, would destroy first the nearer and then the remoter parts till the whole would become mortified. It's the will itself that must be healed, not by means of an influx into it of the understanding, for that is not possible, but by means of instruction and exhortation by the understanding. So it's not just knowing, but it's knowing, and with that ability to think, and with our freedom to say, I know part of me wants this, I'm not going to do it because the Lord said I shouldn't. I will choose something different. So if we seek true freedom from evil spirits that get in the way of a more useful life and cause us harm, just as they did to the demon-possessed man, we have to realize that healing can come only when we approach the Lord and seek His help. It requires honest acknowledgement of a problem to ourselves and before the Lord in prayer. It requires us to ask His help to bring about a change. Then we must act as if from ourselves in changing our behavior and thoughts. The acquaintances of the man who had the demon cast out didn't know what to make of the change in him. It inspired fear in them. A person who is unaware of even the possibility of spiritual change can find it strange and somewhat frightening. Spiritual change doesn't come with simple human effort. To a person who wants intellectual control of all things, spiritual change and spiritual commitment is scary. A truly committed religious person can, without even trying to, leave a non-believer feeling very uncomfortable. When the man had been healed, he wanted to stay with the Lord. But the Lord did not allow him to do so. He said to the man, "Go home to your friends and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you and how he has had compassion on you." We too can share our appreciation of the help that we've received from the Lord. We can do it without being pushy fanatics, but not everyone will be comfortable with our sense of the Lord's presence and help. For those who know nothing of it, we will be talking about a new reality. But just as many people came to the Lord during his life in the world, because he heard that he could provide healing, so too people who are frustrated with their present life and are longing for something better, longing for more than a vague hope, can be encouraged to know that the Lord can be found even today. He can heal even today. He can bring blessings of greater happiness than any merely natural person can know to those who seek his help and follow his word. Amen.